So, brothers, good morning to all of you. I think that let me begin by making some preliminary remarks. And the first one is that ordinarily on the Feast of the Sacred Heart, when you have people like Father Isaac Maunia here, you feel incapable of saying anything. You prefer to hand over the microphone to him. The second thing is just to express thanks to all of you for your collaboration during these few days of retreat. One thing that causes trepidation, I think, in any retreat master, not so much the point that you'll be able to explain this passage or that one. I think that is that which Paul himself says, that having preached to you, I myself might not end up being a castaway. But we do summon up courage to preach and to say the things that we say for one reason. That if today I'm in a position of strength, I might strengthen you. In order that tomorrow, if I'm in a situation of weakness, you might be strong to lift me up. Now, the readings that we heard today, first reading from the book of the prophet Hosea, there's one thing that we should always keep in mind when we have the prophetic books before us. On the one hand, they would use strong imagery to drive home their point. On the other hand, they always have one eye fixed on the Pentateuch. Those are the two principles that would often unravel any prophetic text. And we have a perfect example in the readings of today from Hosea chapter 11. It begins by saying that, when Israel was a child, I called her out of Egypt, and so on and so forth. And the more I called her, the further she went away from me. Then he said something interesting. I was the one who taught him to walk. And you have to pause when you read that. All of us, at least as big brothers in the house, have had the opportunity perhaps to, to teach your younger brother or sister how to walk. You know how it is when the baby is learning to walk. You take 2 steps before. Take 2 steps before. Take 2 steps before. That's the only way they are going to learn how to walk. And God the prophet using that powerful imagery says, I taught Ephraim how to walk. It's the imagery of what God has been doing to us all along. Take 2 steps before He raises us up. 2 steps before He raises us up. I taught Ephraim how to walk. Then he goes on and then he uses another interesting statement. But I will not treat you like Adma. I will not treat you like Zeboim. Question, who are these people? Adma, Zeboim. I have to go to the Pentateuch. Genesis chapter 14. Adma, Zeboim are listed among the cities of the plain, along with the famous Sodom and Gomorrah. Another passage, Deuteronomy chapter 29, 23. Again, Sodom, Gomorrah, Adma, and Zeboim. Again. And what do these cities have in common? Destruction. God destroyed them. With what? Fire and brimstone. Fire, brimstone. Not just fire and brimstone. Fire and brimstone and salt. Salt. What's the meaning of that? If you go to the book of Judges chapter 9, verse 45, you find Abimelech. He went against Shechem. He said that he razed the city down to the ground and sowed it with salt. When you do that, the intention is that nothing can ever grow in that place again. The total destruction. You can burn down the city with fire and brimstone, but at least after some time, it will come back again. When you sow it with salt, there is no coming back to the city. And if you read from Deuteronomy 29:23, Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim are destroyed with fire, brimstone, and salt. And this passage in Hosea chapter 11, God says, I cannot treat Israel like that. Cannot treat her like Admah and Zeboim. No matter the situation, no matter how low we fall, God's intention is not to treat us like Admah and Zeboim. No. It will be an opportunity for us to rise again, begin afresh. Even if it breaks us down completely, I do not desire the death of the wicked man, but that he shall turn from his evil way and live. The Sacred Heart, we celebrate the Feast of Mercy. In fact, that God may chastise us. His intention is not to destroy us, to the extent that there is no opportunity to rise again where we were. Not like Admah and Zeboim. No. And no matter where we are, no matter where we've fallen, must always ring in our minds. Not like Admah and Zeboim. No. And the Gospel reading from the Gospel according to John, another very loaded text that we need to unpack. I'm taking my time to unpack it slowly. It's clearly a text that has to do with the events after the death of Jesus on the cross. There are three things that John says in that passage we need to pay attention to. John's big theme is that Jesus is dying as the Lamb of God, Passover Lamb. He demonstrates it with three things. Number one, he says that that day was the day of preparation, the Passover. Remember, we're talking about the book of Exodus and the lamb which was supposed to be kept in the room from the 10th day, the 14th day. 14th day, the lamb was slaughtered. That's the day of the preparation. What he's talking about here is the 14th day. This is the day on which the lamb was slaughtered. Day of preparation. The second thing he says is that the soldiers came, they broke the legs of the two who had been crucified with him, but of Jesus they did not break his legs. Exodus chapter 12, 45, 46. Break not any of his bones. The lamb. Again, Jesus, the Passover lamb. Then he makes a third one. He says, and a soldier came and pierced his side with a lance. Blood and water flowed out. Then he quotes a passage. This was to fulfill what is written in the prophet. They shall look upon him whom they have pierced. Now that particular passage, third one, is a quotation from Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10. If you read it, it says, that day there shall be mourning in Jerusalem. They shall look upon the one whom they have pierced. There shall be mourning in Jerusalem as on the day of Hadad Ramon in the plains of Megiddo. That's what it says. Now what is that talking about? It's actually talking about a particular historical event. And that you can actually find in 2 Chronicles chapter 35. It's talking about the death of Josiah. Josiah, king of Israel, had gone to intercept Necho, Pharaoh Necho of Egypt, the year 609 BC. And as Josiah went, he disguised himself, was in his chariot. Unfortunately, the archers shot a number of arrows and they pierced Josiah. And he slumped into his chariot and he died. And the one who was pierced is Josiah. Now, why therefore the reference to this particular passage? And we know that it was in the reign of Josiah, in fact around the year 622 thereabout, that the code of the covenant, the Deuteronomic code, was found by Hilkiah in the temple. When they found that code of the covenant, it says that Josiah made them celebrate the Passover. In fact, read from 2 Chronicles 35:18, it says that Josiah made them celebrate the Passover. He gave about 2,600 sheep to the priests, about 5,000 sheep to the Levites, and they celebrated the Passover in a way in which it had never been celebrated before since the days of the prophet Samuel. Who is Josiah? Josiah is the institutor of the new Passover. No Passover had been celebrated for about 400 years. And Josiah is the one who comes to celebrate the Passover the way Passover has never been celebrated before. And when John takes this passage, he says, they shall look upon the one whom they have pierced, and Jesus, the new Josiah, the institutor of the new Passover, celebrating the new Passover in a way in which it has never been celebrated before. In fact, you remember the story about Jesus going into the temple, making a cord of whips and driving the people out of the temple. All the synoptic gospels have reference to this event. And an interesting thing, all of them say that when Jesus went in the temple, he made a cord of whips and he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who were selling pigeons. If you read from John chapter 2, reading from verse 13 and following, John alone has a different rendition of the text. He says, not only did he overturn the tables of the money changers, he drove the sheep and the oxen out of the temple. And he told those who were selling pigeons, take all these things away from here. Why? Because the new Passover lamb, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, has come into the temple. Therefore, what need do we have of sheep and oxen or pigeons? Via. A passage that we celebrate today, a passage about the celebration of the new Passover, the priest of whom is Christ. My brothers, we've been through a retreat of the whole week. At the end of this week, all of us are renewing our priestly call and the vocation that is ours to celebrate the new Passover, to begin afresh, to begin again, to begin anew, taking away the old leaven of corruption, to celebrate Passover worthily. This Passover, as we began to say right from the beginning, is not something that is extraneous to us.